Let's bring in our guest, Marc Lotter. Marc is the national spokesman for President Trump. Marc, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You know, we've been talking about this, that the establishment Republican Party, and it frustrates me, it frustrates Gina, that the establishment Republican Party is somehow, they feel they have ownership over the Republican voter base, the voter base that went for Donald Trump, and that they need to rescue this party from President Trump. We find that to be an asinine concept. One of the things Gina and I do agree on, Marc. I don't understand that. It's incredibly frustrating.
It is frustrating, and one of the reasons is because President Trump has aligned with the interests of the American people. He told them, despite decades of Republican orthodoxy about free trade, that the deals that were being made were actually bad for American workers. And so he called out the bad actors. He's doing something about it, and he's undoing many of their legacies, and the American people are going to be the ones who benefit from it. And I think that's one of the reasons why you see some folks, not many anymore, they're loud, but they're not great in numbers, who are still continuing to cling to the old way of doing things, and they're just not getting on board with the fact that a lot like Ronald Reagan, as we saw back in the 1980s, when we have a strong president in the White House who's conservative, going to cut taxes, stand strong on the world stage, America soars again.
I found a personal frustration coming up with the elevator speech, and I'm hoping, since you're the spokesperson, you can do this. Explaining to the average person who hasn't been inside politics, Marc, why the presidency is so devastating to people like lobbyists, like consultants, like staffers even, and why they seem to have joined together in an effort to get the president out so they can go back to the way business used to operate as usual.
Well, in one area, and just using the trade issue as an example, is that for the last 30 years, America has had basically the same trade policy, regardless of which president or which party had the White House. And it was a policy that allowed American jobs to be shipped overseas for a greater world order. And this president said, enough. We're not going to sit by and watch and allow and encourage other countries to take our jobs, to have our factories shipped overseas, and have Americans struggling at home. It's time that we put our policies in place that promote American workers, American-made products. And so, again, it's undoing what they have been doing together for the last 30 years.
It's really
and this president brought it to a stop.
It's really the most fundamental concept, isn't it? Returning government to the people. Something very simple, something the founders intended, just returning government to the people and putting government back in the hands of the people, taking it out of the hands of the corporate lobbyists. Stick around. Much more about this and President Trump returning government to the people. Marc Lotter, national spokesman for President Trump. Thank you.
Newsmax TV. Watch us on Dish, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, Verizon Fios, or download our free app. Don't have Newsmax TV? Call your local cable provider and request Newsmax today.